Today, we're talking about content marketing for accountants and bookkeepers. The world has changed. I don't know about you. Who's frustrated? Who here posts on socials and doesn't actually get very much from it? Let me know in the chat box. Who here posts on socials and doesn't get much from it? You're posting content, you're finding your reach is down, nobody's commenting, you're not getting clients from it. Let me know. So let me know in the chat box. Johnny, let me know. Mary, Philip, Rachel, Rosalind. Ubaid, how you doing, Ubaid? Good to see you again. Yeah, let me know if you feel that you are posting on the old socials and you are not getting anything from it. Well, what I want to share with you today is actually how to shift your thinking and how to actually approach content marketing now in 2026. And I don't even want to say 2026. I want to say 26 as we approach 27, because we're at the stage now where we're going to be going into all of our planning for next year. We're halfway through this year. We've got 6 months left to smash this year, unless you run your tax season the way that I do. So my business actually runs April to March here in the UK. But if you are anything like the majority of business owners, not necessarily accountants or those in the accounting profession, you are running from January to December, and that's when you run your revenue and what's successful and what's not. So the latter end of 2026, content marketing has changed, and we need to change our thinking around it. And we also need to change how we're using content to go out there and get clients. And as we go into 2027, I'd like to be able to look that far into the future, but I don't know about you. The frustration of content marketing means that things are changing so fast, we don't know what works and what doesn't. So I'm talking about what's working today. I'd like to think it'll take us into 27, but I'm not 100% sure. So Johnny says, pretty much done with Facebook and Insta. I just don't like being on it. Most of my focus is on LinkedIn and YouTube. Amazing. Yeah, mine too. Instagram, I try and have a presence on, but Facebook, I just repeat what I've written on LinkedIn just so that I am visible there, but it's not got any thought at all to it. And I'm a big believer. If you came to last week's webinar, I spoke about the 1, 2, 3 rule with marketing, making sure that you have one person that you're talking to, your niche that you're talking to, 2 platforms that you're focused on. So Johnny, a really great example there of LinkedIn and YouTube. When you're on all platforms and doing all things, it waters down, and different platforms need different things, right? An Instagram carousel is very different from a LinkedIn carousel. And once you start doing that, you're 10xing the amount of work that you have to do, but you're actually halving your results because you're just trying to get stuff out. So the 1 is niche, 2 is 2 different platforms, and then 3 is the 3 stages of the customer journey. And I'm going to be going more into the 3 stages of the customer journey today, but also I want to shift your thinking in exactly what is happening in the content market. Now, if you're new to me, which I don't think any of you are, so I will whiz through this. I don't think any of you are new. If you are, just let me know, and let me know that you're a newbie in the chat box, just so I can be aware. But I recognize most of your names. But those of you who are new to me, I'll run through it quickly. And those of you who know me, you know this anyway. So my name's Amanda C. Watts. I've worked with accountants, bookkeepers, and CFOs for over 10 years now. And I help you escape what I call a monster business and build a freedom practice. Okay. So what a monster business is, you have too many clients, not paying you enough. You have to hire more team to serve your clients. You're working all the hours, 60, 70 hours, maybe more during tax season, and you're overworked and underpaid. A freedom business, a freedom practice, is where you're working fewer hours, you have fewer clients, but you're getting paid more per client, which means that your profits are much higher and you can have more time to have more freedom, basically. So the way that I enable my clients to do this is a 3-step system. The first thing that we have to do is productize. We uncover your value and build advisory packages. We can't build a freedom practice with a compliance-based firm. You do the compliance still when you create a freedom practice, but you don't have the hundreds of compliance clients. So we have to uncover your knowledge and turn it into an advisory business, an advisory package. We then monetize. So we show you how to sell the high value advisory with really good profit. That's the key thing, is making sure the profit is there. And then we systemize and show you how to keep your clients for years, get your time back, and get referred and recommended. So that's how I help accountants and bookkeepers. And if you feel like any of that would be useful for you, then today's webinar will be useful for you. Now, I have nothing to sell on the webinar. You're not going to get a link at the end that says buy my 2K program. But if you stay stay to the end, which will be about an hour doing the training today, but if you stay to the end, I will share a little bit about my program. And if you want to have a listen, then feel free to stay on. But the program, the webinar today is very much focused on me helping you shift your thinking so that we can then enable you to have content marketing that gets you the results that you want to. So what I would love to know is, why do you want to do content marketing? Right? Why are you here? What's the problem? Why do you want to do content marketing? Because a lot of the time we do stuff because people just like me say, hey, you need to do marketing. But at the end of the day, there is another reason why you want to do it. What's the end result that you want your content to give you? So Mary, let me know. Philip, let me know. Rachel, let me know. Rosalind, hey, Sarah, how you doing? Ubaid, let me know. What is the reason that you want to even go down the content marketing route? All right, let me know in the chat box so I understand why you're even here, okay? Now, I just want to share with you the old buying journey. So when I talk about a couple of things: customer journey, buyer's journey. Customer journey, buyer's journey is the journey that your clients or potential clients go through to go from stranger to client. They don't know about you, they don't know about your services, and they have to go through this journey to go from I don't know you to I know you enough that I'm going to buy from you. Right? So the old way was they would ask a friend of, hey, I'm looking for an accountant. Then that friend would give them your name. So if they said, hey, I'm looking for an accountant, and they said, oh, you need to speak to my friend Rachel, Rachel would then be Googled. Okay, so this is recent. This is in the past 5-10 years. Rachel, you would then be Googled. You'd be looked up on LinkedIn maybe, and you would be Googled, are you who you said you are? Now, go back 20 years, you wouldn't have been Googled. They would have asked a friend. They would have been connected with you probably via email, or they would have been given a telephone number, and they would have phoned up and said, oh, Bob's recommended you. And then you would decide. So this is the journey that you would go on. More recently, you'd search Google, you'd visit the website, you'd book a meeting online, and then you'd decide whether or not they're a good accountant for you. Okay, now when it comes to people deciding whether or not to buy from you, you, the accountant or advisor, controlled the information that clients could have. So you might have a few blogs on your website. You would have done 5 years ago, have a website, although in the accounting profession, and I am saying this with so much love, they're not very good websites, right? So they didn't actually have a huge amount of information on them. You probably didn't list your pricing on the website, but the advisor, as in you, controlled the information that you wanted to share with your prospects. The buyer had limited options. So when the buyer was looking at who to buy from, they only had 1 or 2 people that often came from referral, and very rarely came from them doing their own research. Okay, so if you had a decent website, a few testimonials, and some credentials, you were ahead of the majority of your competitors. Now, this was as little as only like 2 years ago. Right? So what we need to do is look at the new buying journey, because until recently, information was scarce, and advisors, you, the accountant, you, the advisor, held all the knowledge. All right. And I know this 100% to be true, because I could create a video back in 2016 and be like, you need to do content marketing. And I would have people flock to me. They would, like, these webinars that I used to run back in 2016 would have 200, 300 accountants and bookkeepers going, oh my God, Amanda, tell me more. What I need to do content marketing. And it was enough that I could just say something like, you need to do content marketing. This is what you need to put in your blogs. This is how to write your blogs. And people thought that I was like the most knowledgeable person in the world. And I would have partnerships come and reach out with me, and I would have clients. I would take 300 clients a year would come to me to work with me. I had all the information. My accountants and bookkeepers didn't have this information. I held all the knowledge. You held all the knowledge. So the people who wanted to know about cash flow and profit and all of these things, they had no idea what the answers were. You had all the knowledge. Okay, so then what happened is everything started to change. Now, this is a 3-step journey. We're only on step 2 of this journey of how things changed. The internet changed everything. You could Google people and who they were, their testimonials. You could look at blogs. You could listen to podcasts. How many of you listen to blog posts all the time, okay? YouTube, you were in communities, you could look at reviews, you could go to LinkedIn, right? And you could do all the research that you wanted to. And instead of talking to one firm, buyers could research 50. They could do all that research themselves, right? So what I want you to understand is that's what life was like 5 years ago. It's not what life is like anymore. The referrer was no longer the gatekeeper of the knowledge. So, or the person that was able to get those blogs out, they weren't the gatekeeper of the knowledge. Information became abundant. Okay, so this is now where we're at. And go on, tell me, right? If you go online, do you just feel like people are throwing content at you, right? All the time. And also, if you go online, you could go to ChatGPT and Claude and you can do research. And actually, I just want to share this with you. I did mention it the other week. I want to share with you what Claude spat out for me. Really good. I didn't even use ChatGPT for this, but bear with me 1 second, because I think this is really key to show you. A year ago, let me go back to my Zoom. A year ago, I approached my accountant at the time and said, could you run me off a report of if I took home 100K, 120K, 150K, 180K and 200K. Can you run me a report? And in that report, tell me what dividend tax I have to pay at the different brackets and what salary and where it tips and what's a good idea and a bad idea. My accountant went away and did it for me. And I think it must have taken him about 3 or 4 hours to do it. What I did about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I think it was, is I created this. So let me just share this with you. So this is a document that I didn't put together. I just asked Claude some questions. I just went on and said, this is what I want the calculations for. And I wanted to see if it would spit something out. Okay. So we've got salary only. So if I was going to pay myself 15 grand a month, this is how much salary I would have. It would be adjusted net income, personal allowances after tax. So no personal allowance because I'm taking so much. This is how much I would have. Like, I'm teaching you to suck eggs here, right? Because you know all of this information. However, this took seconds. Then we did salary and dividends. So what would it look like if I take 15 grand a month and these are my salaries and dividends, right? And then we do the comparison and it tells me what's the tipping point and whether or not I should pay salary only or dividends only. Now, this was literally for me to see whether or not Claude could create something like this. This used to take you 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours or more. It took 5 minutes for Claude to put this together. So where I'm talking here about information becoming abundant, information is abundant. We actually do not need, this is going to sound terrible, but we don't need marketers. We don't need consultants. We don't need coaches. We're using Claude and ChatGPT to be therapists for us. And what used to be valuable, which is information, is no longer valuable. Okay, so I used to run a coaching program. I don't run a coaching program anymore. I run an implementation program because coaching and teaching people how to do content marketing does not move the needle. Okay, teaching people, getting them to implement it and create everything that they need moves the needle. All right, so AI arrived and information became free. How do I improve cash flow? How do I grow my business? How do I price my services? How much dividends can I take? Are all questions that your clients are asking Claude and Chat and any other platforms that they might be on. It might not be correct. So this here might not be correct. You might want to have a look at it. If you want to have a look at it, I will share it with you, right? But I can guarantee that it's good enough. It's good enough for the person who is searching for these answers. So if information is free and we're no longer creating these lengthy blogs to position ourselves as the authority, what do we have to do? Right? What is it that we have to do? So we have to think about the fact that the value of information is collapsing. And if your marketing is based on information alone, you're going to become easier to replace. How many of you feel like your marketing is based on information alone? Now, Rachel said the reason why she wants to do content marketing is lead generation, increase awareness of knowledge or expertise in your business as an independent practice, be the go-to practice in our area. So, Rachel, what I would suggest to you is that today's webinar will change your thinking around that. Okay, because we need to be approaching content marketing in a different way. This is brilliant for a couple of years ago. Today, we have to do it in a different way. All right, so have a think. Are you just providing information and hoping that it's going to position you as the go-to expert? Because it's not. Sadly, it's not going to. You have a look here. I just asked Claude. Now, I have a little bit of knowledge. My dad's a tax technician and I am obsessed with numbers. I'm in my bank account every day. I'm listening to all of the announcements about corp tax and dividend, all that kind of thing. And I even said to my accountant the other day, she said, oh, we could defer this to next year. And I was like, does my dividend tax not go up next year? Aren't they increasing it by 2%? She went, oh, yes, that's a good point. Right. Well, we need to get this sorted. So I have a little bit of knowledge, which is dangerous, but that's because I work in the profession. I obsess over it. A lot of your clients don't have that knowledge, but they are still looking at Claude for the answer. Okay. So everybody sounds the same. This is the new problem. So whether or not you're an accountant, a bookkeeper, or Johnny, who's on the call today, who specializes in helping middle-aged men, right? But if you have competitors, which you will, everybody sounds the same. You're going to have a website that looks very similar. You're going to have a LinkedIn profile, AI generated content because you don't have a lot of time. So you're using AI to generate your content. You're going to have similar promises and similar testimonials. Now, the reason why you're going to have this is because you, just like your clients, are leveraging AI. And AI is the average of what they find or what it finds online. So it takes all the crap content, all the good content, aggregates it together and spits out average. Everybody has started leveraging AI and it's spitting out average, an average website, an average LinkedIn profile, average AI generated content, average promises, and average testimonials. All right. So we have to, first of all, stop using AI. But second of all, shift our thinking on how we're going to use content marketing at the end of 2026. Now, I call this the expertise blur. Everyone can claim to be an expert and the buyer doesn't know who to trust. Now, Johnny, and I'm not saying this to diminish what you do, but I could go on to Google Gemini and I could say, Google Gemini, do deep research on Johnny Jensen, who has this expertise. I want to set up a competing business. Tell me what I should talk about and the kind of social media updates that I should create. I don't need any expertise in this subject, and I could set myself up as a competitor. Now, what we do know, Johnny, is that you have depth of expertise, which is lived experience. And that's the one thing that most of the marketing that is posted online never comes from. It doesn't come from lived experience when we use AI. So what we need to do is go, how do we get rid of this expertise blur so that we are uncopyable? I think that's the word. Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. All right. Yeah. So Johnny says they could scrape all my podcast transcripts. Absolutely. So I could scrape everything that you have done and sound like you. And that's all I ever would do, because I would scrape it all and then AI would regurgitate it. And I think that's a really good point, because one of my competitors, new competitor, they set up, I think about 6 or 8 weeks ago, has scraped all of my podcast episodes. And literally every podcast episode sounds like one of mine. Now, this is the problem, because what happens is it diminishes the value of what's inside me. Now, my podcast episodes have unique frameworks and methodology, and I'm going to share a little bit more about that in a moment. But what I want to share with you is there are ways to differentiate yourself, and I'm going to be sharing that with you. So the problem isn't lack of information. The problem is that we have too much information. There is a trust gap. That is the problem. There is something out there that content marketing has to do that people are not using it to do, right? So if you're using AI to create content, you are widening the trust gap, not narrowing it and getting people to know, like, and trust you. So potential clients are asking, can I trust you? If you're using AI or you're regurgitating or you're bland and you haven't got a specialism and you're not an expert in something, people are not going to trust you very much. Do you understand me? If you're using AI, you're not going to be thinking about your ideal clients, their fears, frustrations, their wants, their aspirations, how and who they are. Have you solved this before? This one's a really key one, especially because my accountants and bookkeepers that I work with tend to have some experience. They tend to have a proper practice, right? A proper firm that they might have been running for 3 years, 30 years, or more. Okay. I have a lot of people in their 60s want to come and work with me. And the reason why is they have this accounting practice that they want to sell, and they want to do advisory and consulting as they go into their retirement years. So a lot of people in the profession don't want to finish work at 60. They actually love what they do. They want to be able to do part-time. So at 65, 70, and 75, you're doing the consulting. So you have a lot of results that say, have you solved this before? And that have you solved this before is your unique differentiator when people are using AI all the time. So I don't want you to go on to AI and go, give me a case study that I can use on LinkedIn to show that I've solved this before. I want you to write from the heart. I want you to be visceral in how you are describing how you help people and how you have helped people before. Are you consistent? Are you showing up one day and then not? Because if you're not showing up in a day, you're going to break that trust gap. And I also need to know, do I like you? So I was talking to my clients this morning. Let me just go to the WOW company because I want to show you something that I was sharing with them this morning. All right. So the WOW company used to be my accountants, and I worked very, very closely with them when I first came into the profession because they did a lot of the things right that I talked about in my old book, my past book, The Pioneering Practice. Now, this isn't dated, but it kind of is, because where I'm talking about the information and how information used to be valuable and it's not anymore, this is an information book. My book that I'm going to share with you in a moment that I've just written is actually an insight book. So it's shifting your thinking as opposed to telling you what to do. This book told you what to do. But anyway, I digress. Let me go back to the WOW company. Now, the thing with the WOW company is they've done a couple of things. They've niched what they do. They've productized what they do. But if I go back to here where I've said, do I like you? They also have some really nice values to share. So you've got the agencies as their niche, right? Then you've got their website, which kind of shows that they're niching, but also not so much, right? Agencies, consultancies, and tech businesses with over 1 million in turnover, okay, which is revenue here in the UK, right? But this is the thing that I really like. This is, do I like you? Do I want to work with a business where their manifesto is building a beautiful business? So we believe there's another way. We believe that businesses can be beautiful. Doing the right thing gets results. Having a clear purpose, standing up for what you believe in is the secret to a beautiful, sustainable business. And then it goes on down here. What is a beautiful business? Well, it's one with soul. Businesses that are at the center of enriching human experiences. Now, if I was somebody that felt really aligned with that, when we go back to the content marketing here, do I like you? Now, on your website, do you have something that enables me to go, do I like you? In your LinkedIn, do you have something that makes me go, do I like you as a person? Do I feel like I'm building a relationship with you? Can I trust you? Do you understand me? Have you worked with people like me before? Are you consistently showing up so that trust is there and you're not breaking the trust? And do I like you? Okay, so when everybody looks qualified, because every accountant can help every business in exactly the same way, if you're just selling compliance, trust becomes a deciding factor. Okay, the biggest myth that is out there is more content does not equal more clients. Now, the reason why this is the biggest myth is because this used to be true. Okay, I could out content anyone. I could wake up any morning and I could record a 10-minute video. I could go live. I was doing webinars every week. I was doing YouTube videos. I've hidden loads of my YouTube videos, but I was doing one every single day. I was posting on LinkedIn every single day. That made me very wealthy until it didn't. And then it was like, we need to be cleverer here. Having lots of content is good. But having lots of AI generated content, which I didn't do because AI wasn't around at that time, but I just want to say that having lots of AI content, having lots of other people do your content and not you do your content does not equal more clients. So most of you think I need to do content, I need to get leads, I need to get clients. And Rachel, sorry to call you out, but you literally said lead generation, content, leads, clients, content, leads, clients. No, buyers don't move in that way anymore. All right. So what you need instead is what I call the trusted advisor path. Now, I've got a plan for today, and this is what I'm going to walk you through. So the first is the trusted advisor path and the journey that potential clients follow from stranger to client, how it's different in 2026. Then we've got something called traffic light method, which I've been teaching for years. It's in this book too, but it has changed slightly. Okay, so it's been tweaked because where it used to work religiously, we have to think about how we do it differently. The relationship economy, which is why trust now outperforms reach. And I want to share with you an opportunity I'm going to give you a link to get a free copy of my book and the 2026-2027 content plan. So I'm going to tell you exactly what you should be creating, in what order, and how to do it. Does that sound good? Are you happy to hang around with me for another half an hour to make that happen? We actually have some new people joined us too. So hello to those who have just joined us. All right, so let's dive on in. The trusted advisor path. So years ago, I used to teach funnel. It looked like this, the marketing funnel. I don't know if you've ever heard of the marketing funnel. Awareness, consideration, and then buy, right? Awareness, consideration, buy. Now what we actually have to do is create content that builds trust. So first of all, we have to get very, very clear on who our ideal client is and build an audience of that. So the majority of the 27,000 people that follow me on LinkedIn are accountants, bookkeepers, and CFOs. I do not have an audience on LinkedIn of people who are non-accountants, bookkeepers, and CFOs, unless they're my friends, all right? The reason why we have to do that is because if we were playing a volume game, it wouldn't matter who we were talking to. But because we have to build trust, we need to know who we're talking to. We need to know their fears and their frustrations, their wants, their aspirations. So we have to be relevant and resonate with them. So the relevancy is the audience. The resonancy is the content that we're going to create. Once we have people going, oh, they know who I am and like they get me, we then move on to build authority. So this is where most people think that content marketing sits, is about building authority. Writing a book is about building authority. But if you haven't got the right audience and you're not resonating with your ideal clients and you move to, oh, I'm just going to publish a book, it doesn't blooming work because there is no trust there. Okay, the trust comes actually as we go round and round and round and round many times. So it's build audience, build resonance, build authority, build trust, build conversations. Then you build your audience again, you build resonance, build authority. And this is the path that clients take. And they might go round this. They might go round this 10, 12, 15, 30. Some of you have been round this circle, this trusted advisor path with me. Maybe, I don't know, I hold a webinar every couple of weeks, sometimes once a week, but let's say 100 times around this before you've bought from me. All right, which is why we have to understand that it's all about trust, because if it was easy to take people down the traditional marketing funnel, it would be literally the language you use and then people pop out the bottom and their clients. But it doesn't work like that. There is a trust deficit in the world because of the AI generated content and the AI slop that has been generated, and the ability that information is everywhere. And as Johnny said, I could go and I could scrape all his podcasts and I could recreate those probably in my own language, but like a bad competitor would upload it to Claude and go, give this to me, give me the slides for it. And then you read out those slides and you've got your own podcast. That's why we've got to show up as people. Okay. So content is no longer a lead generation tool. Content is a trust building tool. Content doesn't get you clients. Content builds trust. So I'm going to share with you how to build that trust. So the missing piece of the content puzzle, most people teach create educational content, create personal content, create case studies, but they miss this one thing. Who is the content for and where are they on their customer journey? Because the right content shown to the wrong person or at the wrong time completely fails. So as I've said, it's not discover you, book a call, become a client. That isn't what happens. People buy when the trust reaches a certain level, which is why I do webinars every 2 weeks, because if it was enough that I provide you with information, you would buy from me after one webinar. You actually have to come and have maybe 10 webinars or 20 webinars with me before you trust me enough to buy from me. Okay. Now, there are a lot of things that help people trust, and I'm going to share that with you. But what you need to understand is it takes 20 times as long as it did, and one webinar does not maketh a business. I don't know if you've ever heard of Russell Brunson. I know some of you have. I know, Johnny, you have. But Russell Brunson talks about running one webinar every single week for 12 months to make sure that you'll get really good at that one webinar. I have a different opinion of that. And I know that he's a multimillionaire, but he built his business off the back of that when there wasn't a trust deficit. You only needed to spend an hour with someone and they'd buy from you. Now, what I've found, especially with my niche, this is really important as well, because if I was selling to a different kind of client, they trust quicker. My accountants and bookkeepers take a longer time to trust someone, right? Your personality means that you want to do your due diligence. You're not just going to buy from someone because they tell you to. So for me, it's the length of time I spend with you, the diverse range of information, my opinion, my views, my case studies, my thinking behind it, the fact I've been with you guys for a long time, the fact that I've helped over 800 clients, all this kind of thing enables you to build that trust. So what we need to think about is the modern customer journey. This is the real path to get a client. So they're going to discover you. They're going to consume content. They're going to follow you. Could be for 6 months, could be for 2 years, could be for 20 years. They're going to learn everything that they can so that they trust themselves. Okay. This is where people start to then get moved. So the first thing that we have to do before we buy from someone is trust that what we're buying is the right decision. We don't rely on our supplier to tell us we're making the right decision. So I just want to kind of explain this with buying a washing machine. All right, bear with me on this one. So 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, if you wanted to buy a washing machine, you would walk into your local Currys here in the UK and you would go, I need a washing machine. My budget's £500 and I want it to do a fast spin. I don't need it to be a tumble dryer as well. I want it to be as quiet as possible. Which one do you recommend? And the gentleman or the lady there who is serving people would go, this is the one I recommend. And we go, oh, great, thank you. I'll have that one then, right? Now what we do is we go on to Google and go, my washing machine's broken. Which one should I buy? And we will research and we will, because it's a compliant product, right? They're all pretty much exactly the same. There's no differentiator. We'll research all these different washing machines and then we'll go, right, now I've chosen what I want. I'm going to try and find the cheapest. So then they go, this is the cheapest. And then they will go and buy from the cheapest supplier and they will decide what it is that they want. Buying high value advisory services and high value compliance work, so where you're doing compliance plus advisory, it's not that dissimilar. People are going to decide that they want to buy these services before you've told them about it. Beforehand, they would very much go online and make their own decision about who they should talk to, but they don't know what they're buying. Now we want to know what you're buying before you sell it. Yeah, right. So Ubaid, you've heard me speak about the Parker versus the Mont Blanc. The pens are 3 levels of positioning. So you've got the Bic pen, the Parker pen, and the Mont Blanc pen, right? And what we want to do is decide, do we want a pen that is going to just write, or do we want a pen that has status and makes us feel an emotional way? So very similar to that as well. Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so that's about positioning. And our positioning has to be spot on. So trust comes after they've made the decision themselves. They've consumed some content, they've followed you, they're learning from you, they're trusting you, they're engaging with you. Once they're engaging with you, which means sending you emails, sending you messages, they haven't yet booked a call, they might be liking your content or commenting on it, but more often than not, they're probably not. I would say of the 800, 900 clients I've worked with, maybe 5 to 10 of them have ever commented on my content. They've all, however, come to a webinar. I don't think anyone has bought from me without attending a webinar, even to date now. Okay, so you've got all of these people out there going, you don't want to do webinars. Webinars are dead. Yes, they're dead compared to how easy it was back in 2020, 21, where I could get 300 clients a year with just going, here's some information. Okay, but they're not dead because they're a trust building exercise. And as you're listening here, you are deciding whether you know me, whether you trust me enough to then go, do you know what? Actually, I'm open to finding out how you might be able to help me, Amanda. So trust is built, then people engage, then they have a conversation, and then they become a client. Okay. So remember, you're not just selling a Bic pen or a £20 t-shirt. You're selling your expertise, your knowledge, your advice, and a transformation for your clients. If you are posting on social media and not talking about how you transform people's lives, then you are not going to build trust. They're just going to see you as an information provider, and your biggest competitor is Claude and ChatGPT. Just let that land. If you're just posting content saying this is how to do a cash flow forecast, this is how to increase your profits, 5 ways to get more clients, you are just competing with Claude and ChatGPT. So if you were to go into Claude now, for example, and go, how do I do content marketing in 2026? It will give you an average result, which will be post reels, go on Instagram, find out where your clients are hanging out, very generic content, and it will be enough for the majority of people to feel like they've had a full and robust solution. What you'll see here, this webinar was not created by me going on to Claude and going, create me a webinar about content marketing, because this is very, very different information from the traditional information that's out there, because this is learnt information. This is learnt, tried, and tested. Everything I'm sharing with you comes from within me, not Claude going, who else is talking about content marketing? Let's go and get that information. Okay. So trust must come before you have a transaction with your clients. So what happens in reality? A prospect might read 3 LinkedIn posts. So maybe you've been following me on LinkedIn. Let me know if you have. Listen to a podcast. The majority of people have listened to about 100 of my podcasts before they book a call. 100 of my podcasts. Not 1, not 3, not 5, not, oh yeah, Amanda knows enough, I'll book a call with her. 100. They really have to trust me, because everybody out there is selling snake oil and it's all been generated from AI and it's horrific. They're going to read your emails. Email isn't dead. Good email is still really good. They're going to reply to any messages that you send. So some of you I'm talking to in LinkedIn. I am talking to you in LinkedIn. I'm not outsourcing it to a lead generation company. They're going to download your guide, right? Attend a webinar, watch your videos, then book a call. Yeah, so Johnny says consistency is such basic but fundamental part of this. And the real story and personality, that's why you love podcasting. I'm here today for motivation to step up my bi-weekly webinars. Just do it. No motivation here, kick up the bum. All right, Johnny, just do it, okay? The sale happens long before the sales call. The call simply confirms a decision. So this is what I want you to think about. The purpose of content isn't to get clients, Rachel. Sorry to pick on you, but you were good enough to share why you were here. A LinkedIn post just creates awareness. A podcast will build authority. A webinar could build trust. By the way, this isn't exclusive. A LinkedIn post could build trust. A podcast could build trust, right? This is what Johnny was talking about. A conversation is the only thing that will lead to someone becoming a client. If you don't have a conversation, they will never, ever become a client. Yeah, great. That's good, Rachel. I'm really glad, because it's helpful, right? That's the thing. And if you had ChatGPT'd this, Claude would have told you to post better content. It wouldn't have told you about this trust bit. And I'm going to share with you exactly what you should be posting for different stages as well. So very happy that you're here. All right. So there's 3 stages. This is the traffic light method. Do you get it? Red, amber, green. Okay. So this is where we need to be marketing to. It's slightly different now, because everything that we're doing should be building trust. That's in our mind. Beforehand, everything we used to do was just get them to the next stage, get them to the next stage, so they buy from us. Now, everything has to start with, is this helping people build trust in us? So red is when people don't fully understand the problem that they have. So we need to create content that is resonating with them, relevant, talk to their fears and their frustrations, so that they feel that they trust us enough to go, that makes sense, okay? Then we have amber content, and amber content is where they understand the problem that they have and they're looking for answers. So when we go on to Claude or ChatGPT now, let me rewind slightly. I'm not saying don't write blogs. I'm not saying don't create information-based articles. But what I'm saying is you need to create these with your own point of view, with your own thinking, with your own stories, with something that can't be repeated by an AI bot. And then what will happen is, if you create a long LinkedIn article, or you create an article for your website that is unique, that hasn't been written by AI, that has your own point of view, that has headings that make sense, that take people through the article where it's helping them build trust with you, Claude and ChatGPT might take that article, put it on Claude or chat with a link for people to find out more. Okay, so we're now creating content to be found by Claude and AI, because that's where people, that's the new Google. And even when we go onto Google, so if I go here, all right, and I type into Google, how do I create a 13-week cash flow forecast, right? The first thing, let's do that, okay, is the AI overview. So apart from those who are sponsoring, so these guys are all paying, so Profit Zero, Sage, and ChatGPT, right? This is, here's something I also noticed the other day, and nobody commented on socials when I posted it, but I thought it was amazing. Chat is now advertising on Google to steal Google searches, okay? So what we want is to look at, these are the sponsored results, but the 13-week cash flow forecast, set up your spreadsheet, Abcom, then YouTube, right? I can do some research there. Then we've got Ripple Treasury, Corporate Finance Academy. All of these are links for me to go and do a deep dive into it, but it all started with the content. AI can tell me exactly what to do. Okay, set up a spreadsheet. Then I can go on here. So we need to understand that we need to create content that can be found by the AI overview. And it's all the way down here, right? Then we've got videos, and then we're all the way down here. We've only got 3 posts now, 3 links here. And all of these people have really good websites. Okay, so BDO USA, really good website. So this is what you're competing with. All of the content you're creating has to build trust. And if you want to show up on Google, it's got to be this kind of content. So red, amber, green content. Each stage requires different content for you to create. So this is the traffic light method. And you match the right content to the right stage of your client's journey, not the traditional customer journey. So through the red, amber, and green, we first get to know you, then we get to trust you, then we want to talk to you. Okay, so these are the questions that people are asking. So Rachel, where you're doing your social media posts, I want you to do this against each of your posts. So who are you? Does your post tell me who you are? Does it build trust? And do I want to take the next step with you? Now, you don't have to do all of these, but we need to understand, what are our posts saying? What are our articles saying? What are our webinars saying? Okay. Your goal, if you're creating red content, is to create awareness that you understand your ideal client. Okay. If you're creating amber content, it's about building belief in the solution. It has to be unique, and they have to be coming back to you time and time again to build belief. So for me to know that I have trust of a prospect, they are following me. They've chosen me to be their mentor. They might be consuming free stuff and not paying me any money, but they're not really searching around and looking around. And then my job of content at green, when people have been building their belief and they already have awareness, is to start conversations. Okay. The content focus, if you're talking to someone who's at red, where they don't know what their problems are, they have no idea what's going on, you need to talk about their problems, the opportunities available to them, and beliefs that they have. If they're at amber and they already know what their problem is, then you want to be sharing frameworks, proof, and methodologies. And the reason why you have to do this is because just general content is copyable. Frameworks create IP, intellectual property, that nobody else can copy. All right. So in my new book, I've got loads of IP. Everything is frameworked to the hilt. Okay. Lots and lots of proof in there. In here, okay, so what kind of content should you create? This is in the old book. All right. I am talking about red, amber, green, but I'm not talking about the frameworks in here, right? I'm saying you can do podcasts and videos and articles and books and webinars and events. That's what I was talking about back in 2017. It's null and void now, and it's boring. If I said to you, oh, content marketing, well, you could do a podcast, you could do this, that's the same as everybody else. This is information, is dead. And actually, I saw an article the other day about how, I think it was Seth Godin's books, the sale of Seth Godin, who's a marketer, really good marketer, his books have decreased in sales by 77% over the last 5 years. They're full of information. These books have been around for many, many years. The decrease in sales by 77%. So you've got all these people out there going, oh, look, just share your knowledge in a book. Knowledge is abundant. It's a complete waste of time. You have to share your point of view. You have to share your frameworks. You have to share your methodology. You've got to show that you've been there and done it. It is time for the knowledge economy to succeed, but it's got to be done in a different way. Okay. Content focus, if you want people to book a call, is about results, invitations, next steps. All right. Is this making sense? Can you see how things have shifted slightly? Knowledge is not enough anymore. Content types, problem, possibility, and personal content. This is very much actually about a story that you could share that you went through. Okay. So this is very much, I would never ever, and I've done this before and I regretted it. Back in 2015, I shared how I had burnout, but I shared about how I had burnout during my burnout. And I've never received so many flowers in my life at my house, but all of my clients cancelled because they didn't want to work with someone who was mid-burnout. When I would say share personal stories, make sure you share them after the fact, right? Don't share them as you're going through if they're going to be painful ones, right? To build trust with the content types, you want proof, process, and personal, and then talk, proof, process, and invitation to have a conversation. Call to action is follow me if you're creating red content, learn more if you're creating trust content, and let's talk if you're creating talk content. Okay. So far what I've done is go through how buying behaviors changed. I've gone through how we've gone through the trusted advisor path. We've got the traffic light method that I've taken you through. Now I want to talk about the relationship economy. And I'm hoping that I've got the right, yes, great. I have got the right length. I'm going to give you that in a second, okay? So for years, we were told with social media to chase the numbers. The reason why I have 27,000 people on my LinkedIn is because every single day, like clockwork, I would go in and I'd add 20 people to my audience. It was all about build a bigger audience, get more followers, increase your reach, and go viral. But something interesting happened. And I will guarantee that if you've got 100,000 followers, if you don't get this bit right, you will still have no clients. Whereas 5 years ago, as I said, 100,000 followers equaled clients, okay? The result when you have so many people and you chase the vanity metrics, people become overwhelmed, right? If you're posting content every day, you've got more content, more noise, more experts, more AI, more choice. If you think about it, like Rachel, this might be your first webinar with me. I can't remember. Philip, I know that you've come to many of mine. So have you, Johnny. Ubaid, you have too. But when you are consuming, you have to choose. Do I spend an hour with Amanda? Or do I spend an hour with one of her competitors? Or do I spend an hour with my children? Or do I spend an hour doing work for clients? There is so much choice out there of where you can spend your attention. When I first worked in the accounting profession, there were two of us. There was myself and Karen Rayburn. We were the only people out there helping accountants with pricing and Mark Wickersham with pricing, right? Value pricing. But it was just me and Karen when it came to marketing and getting better clients and doing all of that. So when I showed up on the scene, Karen had been around for like 3 or 4 years. It was a shock to her. It was like, whoa, who is this person that's coming in? I used to be in a category of one, and then I came along. Now I did things differently. I was very framework based. But there was no choice. It was either me or Karen, and the majority of people followed both of us, right? Now, there are so many people that do what I do. If you think about it, you could be on a content marketing for accountants with 5 to 10 different people that are marketing to you right now, if not more, all right? So attention becomes cheap, trust becomes valuable. And we're no longer in the information economy, we're in the relationship economy. People don't buy from the person they see the most, they buy from the person they trust the most. So when you think about two relationships, we've got reach versus relationships. There's two kinds of advisors. We've got advisor A, 100,000 followers, thousands of likes, lots of visibility, but nobody really knows them. And the reason why they've built the 100,000 followers is because they're creating content that gets views, but doesn't build trust. I've got a friend who isn't in the accounting profession, but it's a very good friend of mine. He posts on social media controversial stuff to get engagement. That's it. Just to get people liking, commenting, get more views. What he talks about does not match anything that he's selling. It doesn't build trust. It just builds rage baiters and people who want to, keyboard warriors who want to go and comment. Now, that for him is absolutely fine. It works, but nobody really knows him. He's just creating content for the algorithm. I want you to think about advisor B, 1,000 engaged subscribers, whether that be on LinkedIn or in your email, regular conversations. So can you imagine if you were messaging 20 people a week and you were actually getting to know their business, helping them, bespoke answers, bespoke information, building strong trust and deep relationships? Because business now isn't built on the number of impressions you get, it's built on relationships. And my LinkedIn impressions have gone way down, but my conversations with people have gone way up because it's built on relationships. So why relationships win is because relationships create trust, referrals, repeat business, introductions, partnerships, and community. Reach creates visibility. A relationship generates value for years. A view lasts seconds. And as I said, I saw this guy post about Seth Godin's book. I can't remember what its name was. I remembered a bit of the information because I thought it was very relevant to today's webinar, which is why I've mentioned it to you. But I can't remember who it was that posted it because he wasn't building trust with me. He was just posting a piece of content, information, right? Not trust. Information, not trust. Your relationships, not your audience, are your biggest asset. It goes back to old school. So very quickly, I just want to share what my Uncle Colin used to do. Uncle Colin was the top salesman for Jaguar cars back in the 80s. And what he used to do is he worked in Woodford Green sales room, okay, selling Jags. And it would be like, where's Colin? Like I would say, where's Uncle Colin? But where's Colin? And everyone would be like, where's Colin? Oh, he's down the pub. Now, he was allowed to be down the pub all the blooming time. And the reason why, because down the pub were where his ideal clients was. He was hanging out where his ideal clients were hanging out. And he was having a beer and a whiskey at lunchtime, every single lunchtime, maybe 2-3 hours, building relationships with people down the pub. And they would then buy a Jag from him because they trusted his recommendation. They would then refer him to their friends who would then trust him. And he would, every 3 years, sell another Jag to these guys that he built relationships with over 20 years. He didn't have an audience of thousands. He had an audience of 20 or 30 people, but it was built in relationships and they were parting with a lot of money. And he was the top salesman in the whole of the country because he built relationships. Then in the 90s, along came Google. And they said, Colin, get yourself back in the showroom. And he was like, oh, okay, but my clients are down the pub. No, get yourself back in the showroom. And Colin's sales went down and Jaguar sales went down because they had all these rules. We're going to put stuff up on the website and we're going to rely on people walking in. His sales went down, Jag sales went down. They really struggled. He didn't enjoy what he was doing. He quit and moved to Spain. What the lesson is if you want to sell something that's highly valuable, like advisory services, and you want to sell to your ideal client, it's about building relationships, not about just being visible. And also, when someone typed into the website, oh, Jaguar cars, or I want a new car, they then start to educate themselves as opposed to trusting Colin's advice down the pub. Is this making sense? It's so important. Relationships are the key. It's not about visibility. You can't outsource relationship building. So here's another one. For those of you who are running bigger firms or feel like you don't have any time, you must not outsource your content marketing. And the reason why is because we're selling to people and you are people. And if you outsource your content marketing, it's going to be bland, boring, and probably AI generated. What you're going to do is you're going to give loads of generic information to these people who are going to create your content for you. They're going to run it through Claude or ChatGPT. It's going to be generic and it's not going to get you clients. If you think about in a relationship, when you're building a relationship to get married or have a long-term partner or anything, it is a personal partnership. It is not one, you don't outsource all the courting. Sounds very old-fashioned, doesn't it? But you don't outsource the courting, the dating period. You actually have to go through the dating period to find out if you want to be in a relationship with that person. That's why you can't outsource your content marketing. So anyone who's like, oh, I'm just going to get an agency to do it, my advice is don't, because you're not going to build relationships that way. It matters to get to know who you're going to work with. And as an advisor, people tend to buy you. So Rachel, when someone works with you, they're going to want to know, like, and trust you. They're not going to want to know, like, and trust the content online and then get a different Rachel. Okay. So you need to start the relationship with your client, which is why you don't outsource content marketing. You remember, the goal of your content is not to get clients. The goal of your content is to create conversations. Conversations create relationships. Relationships create trust, and trust creates client. Just like Uncle Colin, he would have conversations down the pub. He'd build a relationship with his prospects. They might not need to buy for 2.5 more years if he's got someone who's just bought a recent car, but by the time they're ready to buy, boom, he's got trust. He then goes, oh, you want the XJS 8 Jag or whatever it is. No, you want to give up your Mercedes, come over to Jag. And because they knew, like, and trusted him, they, trust being the operative word, they went, all right, Cole, I'll do that. All right. So very quickly, I just want to give you a link for this. My new book, The Relationship Economy, is back. It's ready. I'm ready. If you would like to get a digital version of it before it launches, then please sign up here. It's due out in the next couple of weeks. I would love to share it with you. It's all about how the accounting, bookkeeping, and advisory firms can become irreplaceable. There's only 200 copies. Please do not ask for a copy if you're not an accountant or a bookkeeper, because you're taking up. I literally have it so that nobody else can sign up if they're not an accountant or bookkeeper. So you have to be an accountant or bookkeeper if you'd like a copy of it. And as soon as it's ready, you'll get a digital copy. If you want a hardback version of it, if you read it and then you want a hardback version of it, send me a message on LinkedIn. But you've got to sign up for the digital copy first, and actually dedicate yourself, because it's going to cost me money to send it through to you if you want a hardback copy. So be serious with your thinking. Happy to share it, but please don't just be a gatherer of information. You've got to be someone who is genuinely interested. Okay. All right. So the future doesn't belong to the advisor with the biggest audience. It belongs to the advisor with the strongest relationships. Have a think about that. All right. It's not about how big your audience is, not about how often. It's about what is that content doing to build relationships. So know, trust, talk. People buy when they know you, they trust you, and they talk to you. And one of the reasons why I like this webinar, just to give you a bit of an insight, is because I'm talking to you. So although, Rachel, we have never met, we have now started a relationship. All right. So say you come to my webinar in 2 weeks. I haven't got one next week, but in 2 weeks' time, you come to my webinar, which is all about how to do advisory. And your second time there, I'm like, oh, Rachel, how's your content been? And now I'm relevant and I'm resonating with you because we started a relationship, and I am now knowing more about you. And when you read my book, The Relationship Economy, you'll see how this is something that ChatGPT and AI can't do. They can't remember in the past, and they actually don't think about you when they're not with you. What I will do is think about you when I'm not with you. So I can't guarantee it, but I might go make myself a cup of tea now, and I might be like, oh, Rachel, I'm going to go and have a look at her LinkedIn post, see if I can give her some advice around it. ChatGPT and AI will never, ever be able to do that, which is why advisory is so amazing when you get it right, because you will be just like I would be, which is you'll think about your clients even when you're not with them. And that's something that AI can't do. And that's why the relationship economy is so important. So hopefully this is making sense. I do feel like I'm going to start ranting, so I'm going to slow down a bit. All right. So I said to you, I'll give you a content plan. You need content for people to know you, content for people to trust you, and content for people to then talk to you. So customer journey, cash flow problems would be something that you could talk about, Rachel, and everybody else. Okay. Then I want you to share a framework that's unique to you, that you haven't gone on to ChatGPT and come up with. Is it still here? Here you go. Cash flow forecasting tool. This is not a framework. This is a list of things that they could do. You could create a bespoke framework. Okay. And then you've got a cash flow review. So then after the framework, you could go, if you'd like a copy of the framework, comment below. And if you'd like me to talk it through with you and you'd like some help with it, then book a call. Can you see how that goes to know you, trust you, talk to you? And you might post this framework 6 weeks, once a week, and nobody takes any notice. And then on the 7th week, you post it with exactly the same call to action. And someone goes, they're posting this all the time. It must be valuable. I can see their framework working. I think I'm ready to book a call. All right. Low profit margins. You might talk about low profit margins to people who don't know what's going on. Profit improvement method. You might have a methodology. Can you see how the end of it is framework, method, process, framework, framework? It's all about this. And this is something that I specialize in helping you do. So people come to me because they're like, oh, advisory clients. And I'm like, well, we start with this stuff. We create frameworks so that when you serve your advisory clients and you do your content marketing, it resonates and is relevant and it gets clients and it keeps clients. All right. So you can see here lots of ideas. Take a screenshot of this if you want to. All right. But it really does enable you to have success with your content marketing. So the biggest shift of all, for years they said, how do I get more leads? As you have said, the better question is, how do I build more trust? Every single day, how do I build more trust? How do I build more trust? Trust creates conversations, and conversations create clients. Okay? So, content challenge. Over the next 30 days, is this piece of content helping people know me? Is this helping people trust me? Is this giving people a reason to talk to me? If the answer is no to one of these, so if you're doing red content, it's got to help people know you, right? Amber, trust. Green is when they talk to you. Don't post it if it doesn't do this. If it's just information, bland information that I can Google, if I can do, how do I create? So what is a good profit margin for agency firms, right? If I can do this, if you talk about, hey, I specialize in helping agencies, and this is what your profit margin should be, between 15 and 25%, right? Now you're bland and boring, the same as everybody else. And what I would say is, if I had 25% profit margin, I'd be losing my tiny mind. So what you need to do, if you were, for example, working with agencies and had profit margins, right? I would be saying why the net profit margin average is wrong. And then you give your opinion. So if you then go, is this helping people get to know me? So your opinion is 25% isn't enough for an agency business. And then you would give an example or a case study or something that would help them then work out what their profit margin should be. And then the following week, you post a similar post, but this time you get them to book a call with you. Okay. So hopefully this is helping. All right. So I want you to think about, if you spent 12 months, and by the way, 12 months seems miles away, right? I used to sell programs and say to people, let's work together for 3 years. Like, we've got no idea what happens in the next 3 years. Imagine 2 months from now, right? You've spent time showing up consistently, sharing your expertise, building trust. The word I want you to take away from today, there's two: trust and relationships. Okay? Creating conversations and strengthening those relationships. What would that be worth? If you had trusted relationships, I know the irony of being a trusted advisor, I know people don't like that, but how many more referrals would you get if your content was building trust? How many more conversations? How many more ideal clients? And how much more freedom? Okay. All right. So let me just post the link again for my book. If you'd like to pre-order it, it's here. That's there for you. Now, what I'm going to do now, if you're okay with it, hopefully you are, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can find out about how you can work with me. Now, what I would say is, you are welcome to stay if you just want to be nosy. Absolutely. Just be nosy and how I help people. I am not here to sell to you. What I'm doing is I'm sharing with you how I help people. And if you want to join me, then we can have a conversation about it. All right. So today's webinar hopefully has been useful for you. If you want to let me know in the chat box how or what you have got from today, that would be amazing. So Johnny, let me know your takeaway. Mary, Philip, Rachel, Rosalind. Hello, Rosalind. How are you doing? Sarah, Ubaid, and then Su Nong Yang. I don't know how to say your name. I'm so sorry, but hopefully. So Rosalind said, makes absolute complete sense. You've broken this down in very easy to understand concepts and a way to move forward. Fantastic. And if you've got any questions, send me a message on LinkedIn. Okay. Philip says, very useful as usual. It gives me a better idea of what you need to do. Great. And that's what I said yesterday. It was last week. I held the 1, 2, 3 webinar. If you missed that, let me know. I've got a whole article that explains it, the 1, 2, 3 rule. But as I said in that, yes, I can talk about the traffic light method, but there's something more fundamental that we needed to go deep into. Ube says, information has become very easy to access with chat, GPT, Claude, etc. 100%. It used to be the information economy. It's not anymore. All right. Right. Let me share with you how you can work with me. So I specialize, as I said, helping accountants, bookkeepers, and CFOs. I help you build a trusted advisor brand, attract the right clients, and turn your expertise and your knowledge into productized advisory offers. Okay. So I do this in a 3-step process. First of all, we productize what it is that you do. So we need to decide who your ideal client is. If you don't know who your ideal client is, you're never, ever going to have content that resonates and is relevant, and they will never, ever, ever know that you are the expert or the specialist that can help you. If you get this right, you will start to be seen as the go-to advisor, the person that people want to work with. If you get it wrong, you are literally going to have tumbleweed with your content marketing, okay? The second thing that we do is we create your signature system. Now, your signature system might end up looking similar to what I've got, not with the what it is that you do, but kind of the way that you present it. So I've got different ways that signature systems are created and presented in my program. A lot of people like this kind of model, right? The signature system that you have takes clients from where they are now, the transformation to where they want to be, and the journey that they go on to actually achieve that transformation. Now, the thing that we have to do once we have our signature system is design an offer suite. Now, as I said, people can't sign up anymore for 3 years of working with you. And the reason why is because we don't know what the future holds. So we have to have an offer suite that works with people maybe for a day, maybe for 3 months, maybe for a year or more. But that offer suite has to be for your ideal client and have the transformation that you promise. So that's the next thing that we do. So once we've productized, you know exactly who you help, how you help them, you can describe it, you can actually create frameworks and methodologies to deliver it in your marketing and in your actual delivery. So that's the first thing that we do. That is where we start to generate more profit. Now, the second thing that we have to do is look at freeing up your time. And the way to free up your time is to get better clients. So we build an audience of your ideal clients. Now, we're not talking about building a big audience, right? You might only need 100 people. When people productize, they tend to then get maybe 20, 21 advisory clients paying you 2K a month, which adds 500K of advisory revenue. And the delivery is just 10 hours a week for that many clients when you add that to your practice. Now, Rachel, I think that you've got in your practice, I think you've got a couple of managers or a couple of partners, and you've got quite a good team. So what you can do is you can actually grow that 500K and you could double that and have $1 million in advisory revenue because you've got the team to support it, possibly, I'm assuming. All right. Then what we do is we install the client engine, and the client engine is your 1, 2, 3 marketing rule. It's the content marketing, it's creating of the webinars, it's the getting people on the calls, and then we convert prospects into clients. Absolutely, says Rachel. Great. I was a bit nosy. I looked at your website earlier. Here's another thing, right? So I just let you know that I looked at your website. If you are trying to market to thousands and thousands of people and not build relationships and not care about the people who are on your webinars, but care about what you're selling, not care about how you're able to help specific people, you won't have time to do this. And one of the things that I see, and I talk about creating the monster business, which is hundreds of clients and working too many hours and with too many people and having too much team, that doesn't enable you to build relationships with your clients, let alone your prospects. And I think that was quite a good idea. And it wasn't framed that way. I was like, do I tell you that I've been stalking you? It feels a bit rude. But it is relationship building, because I was like, who's on my webinar today? You know, how can I help you specifically? I've been able to go, I know who you are. I wasn't judging you, darling. I was judging you a little bit, but that's okay. That's all right. I wasn't judging you. I was looking, going, look at all the opportunity. Okay, so it never comes from a place of judgment. And Rachel, can I ask, have you been following me for long? Because after a while, you'll realize it's not coming from a place of judgment, but a place of wanting you to succeed. But I'd love to know, have you been like, are you on my list for a long time? Have you been a little while from afar, right? Okay. So as you get to know me, like me, trust me, you'll realize that everything I do is all about helping and supporting people. It's never judgment, but I do get the opportunity to look at things from a potential client's point of view, which then really helps you to dial in exactly how you help people. So then we move on to systemize, which is all about architecting onboarding. And I talk about the first 100 days. If you don't have the first 100 days right of onboarding your ideal clients, you will lose them. They'll stay with you for 3 months. All this trust that you've built during your marketing, gone. They're in and out in 3 months, which does mean that you're not going to have that revenue that you want. We standardize delivery. That's by creating frameworks. We use something called a delivery snapshot, and the delivery snapshot is a way to take your thinking and turn it into frameworks, methodologies, and enable you to share how you help people in a way that's repeatable, and your team can do it as well if you want to. And then we leverage to scale your advisory. That comes from you creating something that's almost like a advisory in a box, and you can hand it to your team, or you scale through leveraged advisory, which is what I do, which is where you stop helping people one-on-one all the time and you start helping people in group format. Okay, so what you get, the outcome of every step. So if you productize, you have the right clients with you as the only option. You have a signature system, which is your knowledge as a named ownable IP. I was talking to Nikolai today. He's one of my clients. He has £1 million firm, and he's buying firms to grow his business, right? And as he's buying these firms, he's creating IP, which means it will increase the value of his firm if he ever decides to sell it himself. Then we have an offer suite, which is offers clients can see and buy. We don't have bronze, silver, gold, by the way. We create offers around your signature system. We don't create offers with less or more access to you. That's very important. We don't create less of something. We just create one piece of your signature methodology, full and remarkable solution. We don't create bronze, silver, gold. I'm not a fan of that whatsoever. With monetizing, hold on. Your ideal audience is all about the people who trust you, they resonate with you, they think that you're relevant. The client engine is a steady flow of right fit clients, and you convert prospects, they pre-sold. So we do something called the champagne close with the converting of prospects. And what happens is, just like if you book a call with me, you'll get an idea of how much it costs to work with me beforehand. I share the exact process, everything that you need to know before we have a conversation, so that when you come to the call, it's actually a relationship building call rather than you feeling sold to. And I teach you how to do that too. And then in systemizing, we get clients who feel certain and stay for years, delivery that no longer depends on you. That's amazing. And leverage to scale. So we build your practice so you get 10 hours. You have client delivery of only 10 hours a week. Okay. So you get your life back. Inside the program, so what I'm talking about here is the Certified Professional Business Advisory Program. It's a 6-month structured path. It's step by step. Do this, step 1, do this, step 2. What happens is we have weekly Q&A calls with me, but this is where I work on the calls with you. So these calls might be a couple of hours long, and I'm building your signature system with you. You'll get everything out of your head, and then I will refine it and make it better and tweak it. I'll have access to the documents. We have a shared Google Drive together, and I go into your documents and I do the building with you. So it's a mixture between one-on-one work and group work, but it absolutely gets amazing results. We create your signature system and your offer. We create scripts and templates for call bookings and onboarding new clients. We have a way to build your confidence. I was talking to Lynn this morning, and we were talking about pricing, and we were talking about confidence. And I was like, do you know what? You can't have confidence without actually taking action. So we don't build confidence. We actually build gumption, which is taking action in spite of not feeling confident. But we have some training around that so that you can build your confidence, so that you can charge 1, 2, 4, 6 grand a month for your services. And then we have this thing called the Freedom Hub and an advisory toolkit that you can use with your clients. That's not what the program's about. It's not me teaching you to be an advisor. You already know how to be an advisor. We give you some of the tools, but more importantly, we take everything you know and create something unique, so that the things that you do can't be AI, they can't be asked in chat, and they can't be asked in Claude. So we also, because it's a Certified Professional Business Advisor program, you get 26 CPD points at the end of the program. You have a ready to sell offer. You have high value clients. I want you getting 3 high value clients within the first 6 months. And we practice the 500, 210, which is 500K revenue, 200 take home if you want to after tax, and 10 hours a week in client delivery. So everything that you need to confidently market, sell, and deliver your advisory services. So all of these testimonials, by the way, have been given to me in the last 6 weeks from clients who are active in the program. That's what I really want to say, okay? So these people have literally either just certified and gone into momentum, or are just finishing the program now, okay? So this is from inside the program, this is their words. So having a clear advisory offer and system to take to market was exactly what I needed. Building my signature system challenged me. So it's not about creating an acronym where someone goes, oh, I'm going to have the CASH acronym, which is clarity, accountability, sales, and home. I've got no idea. But anyway, okay, we don't create an acronym and try and fit stuff in. What we do is we do a deep dive into your intellectual property. All right. I think it's very important that what we create will be so unique and life-changing for you. Joey, who's one of my clients, she finished with me about a year ago. But one of my clients based in America, her whole life changed when she did this program because she learned how to do something that would carry her on for years and years and years. And she has a business that now gives her untold freedom. Michael says, clarity, confidence, and consistency have been the biggest outcomes. I now understand the transformation I offer clients and can communicate the value of advisory services with confidence. Okay. Actually, let me go back to this one because I like it. Amanda and the team genuinely care. I'm your coach. You don't get fobbed off with anybody else. And the team look after the admin side of it. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do my bit, which is the consulting and the helping you implement. Okay. Anne leveraged helped me create a unique advisory offer that genuinely aligns with the business I want to build. Okay, refine my niche, strengthen my marketing, gain confidence to communicate my value. Okay, again, support is exceptional. Paul says, join to work with a mentor who understands the challenges accountants face when building advisory services. And you can see here, right, this is, please let me have your feedback. This hasn't been AI generated, and it's not about fancy, big, massive claims. It's actually the things that you need help with and how we've transformed our clients' lives, okay? Programs help me gain real clarity on ideal client, refine an advisory system, and create a marketing approach that feels authentic and sustainable. Amanda and the team take the time to help each member. All right, Marilee's creating my own signature advisory offer has been one of the most valuable skills I've learned. And Monica has said practical guidance around marketing and communicating value was invaluable. All right. So if you guys would like to book a call, I would love to speak to you. If you want to click on that link and book a call. If you've got any questions, let me know. If you've got any questions, I have taken 15 minutes longer than I normally do. And it's hot, man. It went from being overcast this morning. Now I think we're about 30 degrees. So I'm going to go and sort out this heat. If you've got any questions, message me on LinkedIn or book a call. That's absolutely fine. You can find out about the program. And if it's your first time watching a webinar, then come to the one in a couple of weeks. Consume my stuff. Get to know me. Get to see whether you like me. All right. That's what it's all about. Because I work closely with my clients, although it's a group program, we still work one-on-one. Because I work closely with you, you have to trust me. All right. Just like if you're selling advisory services, your clients have to trust you. They have to trust and take action on what you say. So if you'd like some help with that, then I am here. Everything we do is built for freedom. All right. It's all about freedom. It's not about stack it high, sell it cheap. It's not about that. It's about you getting paid your value, not your worth, because that's subjective, your value, charging good money, huge profits, not working too hard, but transforming businesses' lives. If you want some help with that, you know where I am.